Hello my friends, welcome back again. I know you guys are probably getting a little bored of the build videos in the garage all the time, and we're gonna be doing some stuff outside of the garage here soon. I have to get this car running. Like, that is priority number one, is getting this car running, so I have 2 working vehicles again, because I'm about to only have 1 working vehicle. So with that, I did a lot of things off camera on the Evo yesterday that I want to catch you guys up on, and we're gonna jump into like continuing to knock this out, because we're really close to a first start. I'm waiting on a couple things to get delivered. I'm waiting on the base tune to come, and then we can turn this thing on. But I had a really weird issue with it yesterday. I had a problem with this thing that I've never seen on any other car I've had. And we were trying to build oil pressure yesterday. Obviously no luck, because the oil feed to the turbo is still off, and we have compressed air going into the dipstick to try to help it push oil. I read that on a forum. I don't know if that actually works. I went to the shop last night, grabbed my pressure pot, and we're just gonna pressurize the system that way. But as we were trying to build oil pressure, and I believe this is due to a low battery, I'm not 100% sure, we would turn the car over and it wouldn't stop turning over. Even when I took the key out of the ignition, it would continue to turn over as if the starter wouldn't disengage the solenoid, and it would just keep turning over. I saw that it could be due to low voltage on a battery, and we were turning this over quite a bit, so I'm guessing that the low voltage from the battery wouldn't allow the solenoid to retract in the starter, causing it to continue to turn over, which, don't get me wrong, that shit freaked me out, because I ran up here with like a 12 mil. I'm sitting here on the battery trying to disconnect that one ground cable off the terminal. That was a little scary, but I think it's fine. If we can't get oil pressure by building it with the pressure pot on the oil feed, I was talking to Wally, and he said don't stress it too much. These cars take a lot of RPM to be able to build oil pressure, so we can do it on the first start. It's not a big deal. I'm just gonna really have to monitor that oil pressure gauge that I have to make sure that we have oil pressure. Back here in the back of the car, I'm trying to get stuff like actually installed on the car. I've got the bumper permanently on, because that's gonna stay on until it gets painted. The wing is just set on there. I don't know how to install the wing, because I think this wing is damaged to the extent where I can't actually run studs through it, so the wing's gonna have to get repaired. It's not the end of the world, but we can definitely get that done. I don't even know if I'm keeping the wing. We might go wingless on this thing anyway. And then thank you to you guys. You guys told me that there were drains on the fuel tank, so I did come down here last night. I pulled out the 2 drain plugs. I got Devin gave me that steering wheel, so I got that tossed on there yesterday. Glove box back in, a whole bunch of smaller stuff inside of the car, as well as things up here. Now today, what we need to do, not only do we need to get the engine running to be able to drive this thing, but there's some suspension stuff that I need to do for this thing, which is why that wheel's been off this entire time, because I've been putting this off. We need to swap the ball joints on this thing. I have the white line, no, the Super Pro roll center adjustment kit for this thing, but I think I needed a press to be able to get out the lower ball joints. So I went to the shop last night, have the press loaded up in the WRX, so that way we can get it set up here, get those things pressed out, get our new ones pressed in, and then I can get this thing back on the ground. I ordered a new wheel speed sensor for this side, because I honestly think I threw that one away, which kind of sucks because it's a $400 sensor, but I do think I threw it away, so I bought an Amazon special one for like $18 versus $400, so when that comes in, we can get this side all sorted and cleaned back up. So on the process of getting things more sorted today, and more parts off the racks and just not sitting around to clear up some space, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna get the front lip installed on this bumper. It is white, so it needs to be painted as well. I'm gonna drop the whole car off the paint shop, so that way they can blend all the paint accordingly. I'm gonna go through here and try to restore this paint as much as possible. If we can keep the tarmac black, I'd really like to keep the tarmac black on this thing. So we're gonna have to do a lot of paint correction on this poor sole to try to bring this paint back. So let's get things off and started today. Let's get this front lip installed on that bumper. I believe it just goes in with some pop clips and whatnot, and I think I have all of those here. So let's get the sawhorses out and get this guy installed real quick, just to get it up and off the rack. Lip is on and fitment is spot on as it should be. It's an OEM lip. Now, like I said, the whole Evo is going to go to the body shop after I am done with it, after it's tuned, after it's running and whatnot. Actually, I may just take it there on a base tune, so that way they can't have too much fun with the car. The lip is going to get painted. The front bumper is going to get repainted. I'm going to have them fill in all of these little holes from where they had like drag panels on this thing. The rear bumper is getting painted. The wing's going to get rear painted if we're going to keep reusing the wing. I don't know if we are yet. Here in a little bit, we have to go get gas. We're going to throw some gas in this thing just to get ready for the first start. But now that I've got the lip out of the way, next thing I want to do is get all of the interior panels kind of put back in here, just so that way we don't have them chilling literally everywhere. So that's going to be everything up in here. I do have to go to the auto parts store and grab some little tech screws to be able to hold them all in, but that should be pretty easy. So let's start getting the interior put back together. Dude, this is so nice. We got a full interior in here now. And it all looks OEM, which is dope. When you guys remember, if you guys remember when we got this car, there was no interior in this thing at all. No seats, none of this stuff. So it's really nice to be able to see this actually looking like an Evo now versus just like an interior bucket grossness. Now, one thing I do want, because I do have these SSL front seats, I don't have SSL back seats. So I want SSL back seats, which is just the sunroof sound and leather, I believe. This is not an SSL car. And I was able to verify that. Obviously, there's no freaking sunroof on it, but on the fuse box, there's an added block for an SSL car, which we obviously don't have. When I was putting the interior back together, if you guys have a project like this that sat for years and years and years, you don't know the history on it, and you're kind of in a similar situation, when you're going through, take out every single fuse in the fuse box down there, check them all. I found 2 blown ones. I don't remember what for, but there were 2 blown fuses down there. I got those replaced, so we should be solid on whatever those controlled. So sick. Now that the interior is all done, Amazon just dropped off the rest of my Dash 6 fuel line and my 3/8 siphon hose. The fuel pump wired up too, which will be nice. We'll get some gas in this later, and then we'll test the fuel system. The fuel pressure regulator, I was gonna use the one off the STI, however, it doesn't really fit wherever I want it. So I ordered one from Radium that's just an off the rail, so it'll just go on the very end of the fuel rail right there. That'll be our fuel pressure regulator, and then that'll return back to the tank. So let's go ahead, make another Dash 6 line, run it up into the engine bay, then we'll have our return line done, and then we're just that much closer to getting this thing done. Surprisingly enough, I was able to make a siphon line out of some stuff that I had. I just used some Dash 6 line, some nice little like hose. They're not like worm gears, but they're kind of like worm gears, but they're not like worm gears, those guys. So I've got a Dash 6 AN slit over that. It's a nice snug fit. On this side, I ended up using the Radium little fitting that came off this, and then I had some of these SAE fittings that the Dash 6 line would just like slide right over, so that is like nice and secure for the siphon line. I've got the return line all on there, the feed line is on there. Now I need to hop underneath of the car and go ahead and start running this line. While I'm down there, I'm also going to put in the drain plugs for the fuel tank again. We went and got gas a little bit ago, so I've got about 6 gallons to toss in the Evo, so that way we have a little bit of fuel in here. So let me slide my happy butt under here and start running some more fuel line, because it's always fun. I'm pretty excited for this, you guys. So up in here, dude, it feels so nice to have like a full interior in here now versus just like panels missing everywhere. So keys in the ignition. Fuel pump's not going to turn on. I don't have the fuel pump hooked up, but I do have fuel level hooked up, and it's reading fuel level now. That's so sick. It's so cool to see everything working again on this car. That was 6 gallons, and it's only just like under half a tank. It's like above quarter of a tank. Jesus, how much gas does this thing take? I don't know about you guys, but at least for me, it's really cool to see like everything starting to work and the car like coming back to life. So I've got the fuel return ran all the way up to the engine bay. I'll get it measured and I'll get it cut. I'll probably leave a little bit of excess because I don't know where that fitting's gonna sit on the fuel pressure regulator. I know it's a 90 coming off, so I think I'm just gonna throw a straight on there. So I'll get that cut. That'll wrap up pretty much the fuel system at this point, aside from the fuel pressure regulator. Once that comes in, hopefully on like Tuesday, because it's shipping from Radium, which is literally like an hour and a half away, so it should ship Monday, get here by Tuesday. We can get that in there. Hopefully AEM gets me these other gauges. They're not like engine critical, because the 2 that are engine critical are working, which is oil pressure and air fuel ratio. Both of those are working. It sounds like Wally's gonna give me the base map in the next couple of days, so that way we can go to start this thing. But dude, ooh, so exciting. So let's get that last return line done. I need to go to AutoZone tonight, grab some P-clips and a couple other smaller things for this car, just to like clean up underneath of the car. I need to get the e-brake cable put up there. I need to do the front ball joints, roll center adjustment kit. So after we do the fuel line, I think I'm gonna go run to AutoZone and grab that stuff, so that way we don't have to go out and keep running errands tonight. So I need to order windshield sprayers still. I got holes in my hood that's gonna bother me. I need to get a windshield too. Fuck, dude, there's so much little stuff. So I've got the fuel line ran up into the engine bay. It is just right here. I don't want to put a fitting on there quite yet because I don't know what fitting I'm gonna need, if it's a straight or a 45. I've narrowed it down to one of those two. You guys may have seen, or you guys also saw, I put the little brake line securement clip guy back on there so that way it's not rubbing on the axles. So that's done. It's like all this little stuff that that's like left to do. So I need to run to AutoZone. I need to grab some aircraft stripper. I have both of these caps with me that I grabbed from the shop. Instead of sandblasting them, I'm gonna give them a round of aircraft stripper first, then sandblast them. It'll just make it go so much quicker. And then a whole bunch of other like little things that I need for this P-clips and whatnot. So let me run to the store real quick. We'll come back and we'll keep knocking this stuff out. The big thing that's not letting me put this car back on the ground right now is I need to get this roll center adjustment kit in. These ball joints are just shot. I don't know how to get them out of the rear LCA. I think I need to press them out. I do have a press here, so let me run over to the auto parts store first, then we'll keep going on this guy. All right, we're getting this stuff done. I just got back. I grabbed a whole bunch of P-clip sizes and whatnot for literally everything that I could ever need. Some self-tappers for some stuff I need, some just machine screws. So I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna get the fuel lines P-clipped up, I'm gonna get the sensors P-clipped up, I'm gonna get every little tiny thing that has been in the back of my mind done on this. So I'm just going to put this on a tripod, time-lapse, and just get to work knocking it out. If the time-lapse is boring, we're just gonna skip through it. I don't know, like I'm gonna get fuel dids. Yeah, I'm gonna be all over the place. So I'll be right back. You guys, it's the next day. So last night I went through, I got all the fuel lines secured under the car, the e-brake stuff, all the little tiny things on the car that needed to be done. Now I'm working on trying to get oil pressure built and kind of pre-lube the engine. And I devised something that I think is a pretty good way of doing it if you're not able to get oil pressure just by cranking the car. So right here I have something called a motive power bleeder. Normally use this for brakes. However, it's got a NPT fitting on it, so that way you can kind of mix and match stuff. Now for us, I've got this filled up with brake-in oil. As this pressurizes, it pushes oil up through these lines. I'm back feeding through the oil feed here, and then you guys can see there is oil coming out of the oil filter housing right there, dripping down. So now that I've got oil kind of pressurized from there into the oil filter housing, I'm gonna go ahead and put an oil filter on here, so that way the oil filter will fill up. It'll start pushing some of that air out and just kind of back feeding everything with oil. So let me get that tossed on here, and then I'll keep that pressurized for a little while just to get oil flowing through everything, which is in reality what we need, because we need oil pressure in this engine to start it. I'm down here with an oil filter now. It's a temporary one that I'll end up swapping out. Go ahead and get that guy screwed on. Okay, now that we have an oil filter on here, I'm gonna pump pressure up in the pot again to start pushing oil through everything, just so that way we have a pressurized oil system and it's not just gonna be sitting here dry. So try to get some oil up into the head, try to get it everywhere we can. I normally like to try to keep this around 1 bar, which is 14 PSI, but I think for this I might go a little bit higher. So I'm gonna let this sit for a little while and just push oil through the engine. That will pre-lube everything except for the turbo. Can't really get it into the turbo because it's the oil turbo feed. So we'll let that sit and hopefully build up some oil pressure here shortly. We've got like a nice little steady drip of oil coming out. I'm gonna try to prime the oil system again. If we get oil pressure, it's going to come out a lot faster than that. So I'll review the footage after the fact. I'm a little nervous to try to turn it over again because last time we had like a runaway starter. So if that's the case, I'm gonna have to run up here, pop that negative terminal off the battery, and that should cut it. So let's see what happens. I'm a little nervous because last time I did this, it was definitely a runaway starter. Battery's fully charged, so it shouldn't be a low voltage issue anymore. If it is, I don't know, then we're gonna have to figure something out. Okay, why do I have a bad starter? Is my starter sticking? Hey, we got oil pressure though, so that's good. I guess I'm ordering a new starter today. Does anyone have any idea why it's doing that? I honestly don't know why. Open to suggestions, because this is the weirdest problem I've ever seen. Obviously I I can't even start the car with that problem, because if the starter's sticking open when I go to start the car, you can only imagine what's gonna happen. The flywheel's gonna be spinning a lot faster than the starter, and that's gonna make for some worse issues. So, good to see we have oil pressure. Bad to see that the starter might be the solenoid. The solenoid's gotta be fucked on it, right? Like, this starter's unknown to me. I don't know how many miles are on it. I don't know how old it is. I don't even know what brand it is. So, totally open to suggestions if you guys have any. But good to see we definitely have oil pressure. As you guys saw, it came out a lot faster even when I walked out here. So yeah, that's the weirdest damn issue I've ever seen. So yeah, if anybody has any ideas why we have a runaway Evo here, please feel free to advise down in the comments. I just bought a new starter off of STM Tuned, thinking that the solenoid might be sticking. It's probably not a bad idea to toss a new starter on here anyways, since we don't know how old that other one is. I let these guys soak in aircraft stripper all night last night. They were purple, as you guys remember, so I'll run these to the shop probably tonight. I'll powder coat those black, so that way we can get rid of this blue painter's tape and actually have caps on there. So now that we verified we have oil pressure, what I'm going to do next is toss the spark plugs back in, toss the coil and plug, set it back in, this guy back on top of the valve cover, just to clean up the top side. I am leaking oil off of the oil return on the turbo, so when I go to do the starter, I'll get up in there, I'll retighten all that down. If I have to replace the gasket, I'll replace the gasket. So let me get the spark plugs and everything back in up top. Spark plugs, everything like that are back in. I also forgot to mention earlier, I do have the lower control arms off on this thing to replace these ball joints. I was debating doing the bushings, but they look all right for the most part. Like, no cracking, nothing like that. It's a low mileage Evo. Like, for the year, I guess I should say. It's got 99,000 miles on it. But these do need to be replaced. So I bought the tool, the press fittings, the press cups for my press to be able to press those guys out and press the new ones in. But I think that's all I got on this one. It's just this weird starter runaway Evo 8-ish. I don't even know what to call it. Runaway Evo. We got a runaway Evo 8. Like, diesels do it. It's just our starter that's running away for some reason. So like I said, I got a new starter ordered from STM Tuned. Hopefully that shows up pretty quick. Their shipping can be really hit or miss sometimes on if it gets here quick or if it takes a little while. So I'm hoping it gets here quick. I'm doing the base map this afternoon with Wally for the Evo. So as soon as I get the fuel pressure regulator in and that new starter in, we should be good to go. We have oil pressure built, so we're good on that aspect. I'll get those caps powder coated here soon. Probably tonight I'll go to the shop and get that done. But that's all I got for you guys on this one. If you guys like the video, you know what to do. Go ahead and hit that like button, turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver sign, whatever color it turns for you. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you want to be one of these corners, no idea which one I'll put it in quite yet, but with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. So peace out, homies.